We are told that difficult decisions are being made daily on the world stage to keep the United Kingdom safe. The reality is the exact opposite. The sudden, high-profile resignations of both Defence Secretary John Healey and Veterans Minister Carns have completely shattered that illusion. They reveal a deeper, systemic vulnerability within the current administration. This isn't just a standard political row or a typical cabinet reshuffle. A quiet shift in global stability means the UK is now facing its most precarious security environment since the Cold War. As we speak, Vladimir Putin is actively flooding the NATO border with Russian troops, conflict is intensifying across the Middle East, and a brutal war continues to consume Ukraine. Yet, while external threats scale up exponentially, Britain's domestic defences are actively hollowing out. The infrastructure is aging, morale is dropping, and the structural integrity of our armed forces is being openly questioned by the very personnel tasked with leading them. To understand how we got here, we have to look at the sequence of structural failures that triggered this double departure. When Keir Starmer took office, he inherited a defence infrastructure already stretched to its absolute limits. His response was to promise unwavering global leadership. However, the internal friction began almost immediately over the autumn spending reviews. First, the MOD made it clear that maintaining our current commitments required an immediate, sweeping capital injection. Instead, the Treasury refused to commit to a firm timeline for hitting the target of 2.5% of GDP spending. This lack of financial backing means the government is effectively underfunding the vital defence upgrades requested by the military by nearly 2/3 of what senior commanders state is required. For Healey and Carns, this was the breaking point. An avatar of state strength cannot be maintained on goodwill alone. You cannot talk big on the world stage while leaving the front line under-equipped, holding on to outdated machinery, and failing to retain core service personnel. But it gets worse. While the media focused entirely on the personalities involved in the Westminster fallout, the Treasury quietly admitted something far more alarming. The refusal to fund the armed forces isn't due to a lack of national resources. It is a deliberate choice of political prioritization. The government has chosen to safeguard a heavily bloated domestic welfare bill and maintain massive financial commitments toward aggressive net-zero green energy subsidies. By shielding these politically sensitive areas from any meaningful fiscal discipline, the administration has left the defense sector to bear the brunt of the restraint. The strategic reality is stark. While the state subsidizes internal domestic restructuring, our physical borders are left increasingly exposed. Compounding this problem is a demographic crisis. Current figures indicate that more fighting-aged men are arriving illegally on small boats across the Channel each year than are successfully being recruited into the ranks of the regular British Army. The army is shrinking at a time when global escalation demands it expand. For senior defense officials, this policy direction is not just short-sighted, it is actively dangerous. Which brings us back to our original question. Can Starmer's administration survive this internal crisis and secure the state? Or do these resignations prove he lacks the backbone? The political trap is now fully set. By attempting to please domestic interest groups through welfare and green spending, the Prime Minister has achieved neither. Healey and Carns realised that without cold, hard cash, the upcoming Strategic Defence Review would be nothing more than a hollow paper exercise. Their exit signals to our international allies, and, more importantly, to our adversaries, that the UK's leadership is unready for the hard fiscal choices. The country is being left highly vulnerable to geopolitical shocks, the population is less safe, and our deterrence capability is actively eroding. This goes far beyond standard partisan politics. It is a fundamental failure of the primary duty of the state. And that is exactly why this collapse in defence leadership matters so urgently right now. But a completely separate crisis is hitting the UK's broader infrastructure. You can watch our full data-driven breakdown of exactly how that vulnerability will impact your daily life and security right here. Let me know what you think. Do you think this Labour government is taking the defence of our country seriously enough? Drop your comments below.